Good morning and welcome to Adventure Outdoors, where my goal is to take you places you may or may not have ever heard of or seen before, show them to you, and explain a little bit about them. Today we're headed north on some nondescript road out west of the Great Salt Lake, which for those of you who aren't from Utah is west of Salt Lake City. And we're going to be doing a little tiny bit of off-road today to get to where we're going, and we're just going to have some fun. So sit back, enjoy the ride, and we'll talk to you more coming up here in a little bit. Where?
To the right up here.
Way up. Oh wow, look at that, way up there. That's a big old cave.
It is.
Should I go check it out?
Yes.
All right, let's go check out this cave. It's gonna be a little bit of a hike. Charlie, you wanna come with? Come on. All right, let's go for a little hike, huh buddy? Right up down the hill, I don't know if you can see it, but up there on that cliff, there's a big old hole in the side of the cliff that goes back in a little bit. We just saw a raven come flying out of it a minute ago, so we're gonna go hiking up there. This is what getting out and having adventure is all about. You have no plans, and then you see something along the way and you're like, hey, I should go check that out. That's a little bit of a hike to get to where that's at, but we're gonna go for it. Charlie, what do you think? Come on, buddy. You up for a little bit of a hike? Come on, dude. Come on. Here we go. It's a good climb. Here's the cave a little closer. It looks like a big open mouth with a set of tonsils in the back. Let's go take a closer look. Woo! Slippery. From experience, these caves always look a lot cooler from far away. Big black hole in the side of a hill, and you get to them. There's not much to them usually. You still gotta look though, because you never know what you're gonna find. A hole right there. Boop. Not much to it. It was a fun little hike though. Now look what we find out here. Middle of nowhere. Had to hike like crazy to get to it. And we find an old beer can. Come on people, pick up after yourselves. I'll pick up for you. How's that sound? Nice view. Well, let's get hiked down from here and continue along our journey to the aviation arrows. See you in a little bit. jaunt over the hill and across the desert. We're just about to the navigation arrows. We just got one more short climb ahead of us, and then we'll be there and we'll chit-chat about it a little bit. All right, here we are. You might see that chunk of concrete sitting on the ground in front of us. We're gonna take a stop right here. Take a look. All right, so here's the navigation arrow we've been looking for. Big concrete pad, another big concrete pad, and then here's an arrow. And this arrow right here points off into the distance. You might be able to see Interstate 80 there. Where it points to is if you look over here to the right, you're gonna see that white mountain range in the back. And then if you follow that mountain range down to the end to where that comes down to a point down there, there is another arrow there. That arrow points to Salt Lake City. And that's where they'd go to obviously land, refuel, drop off mail, pick up more mail, probably spend the night, and then fly on to the next point on the next day. So these arrows were built back in the early 1920s. And this is right after they had shut down the Pony Express Trail. So that was riding horseback from New York, from coast to coast, basically, across the country carrying the mail. And then they built what? The airplane. And they figured out that they could fly the mail instead of riding it on horses back and forth, right? So in the early 20s, they would fly these airplanes from point to point across the country, and they built these arrows so that the pilots would have a clue where they were out in the middle of this gigantic desert right here, right? And they could fly from each arrow to the next arrow, and it was their navigation system. Back then, they didn't have nav aids and ILS and all that kind of things. They just flew with their eyeballs and a compass, right? So then in 1926, they figured, well, we need to be able to fly these things 24 hours a day and fly them at night, right? Get a lot more mail across the country if we fly at night too. So then they built these towers on these concrete pads right here. And at the top of the tower was a big old light. They didn't have electricity out here. So then right there on that pad, they put a shed with some kerosene in it. And every night they'd light this light. And you had a land-based lighthouse. So these arrows existed about every 3 to 5 miles all the way across the country from coast to coast. They'd light all these lights at night. And the pilots would use these to navigate from point to point across the country. Kind of crazy, huh? We have it easy nowadays. Planes practically fly themselves. Back then, you had to have a clue what you were doing and follow these arrows. Kind of crazy. Kind of blows my mind when you think about it a little bit. Anyway, those are the navigation arrows. Think about being a pilot out flying across this desert right here, trying to find that arrow on the ground. Man, we have it easy nowadays. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you have a great time. I hope you enjoyed this a little bit. And get out there, have an adventure. Go find something you haven't seen before. We'll talk to you soon.